So many of our shows have been tied into the pandemic, and some businesses that have really done very well during the pandemic, and others not so well. So before we even segue into our main topic, today, as we speak, the Southern Pines Business Association is having their annual sidewalk sale.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Do you remember back in March? It was so gloomy.
It was just dreary.
We had a lot of retailers on, and they had placed all their spring orders. A lot of them could not cancel their shipments. And a lot of those stores were closed.
Yeah, for a while.
My guess is that the sidewalk sale today is going to be probably the best they've ever had in terms of the variety of merchandise and the buys that people can get, because a lot of this stuff is probably stuff they've never had a chance to sell during the spring season.
Yeah, it's going to go straight to sale.
Yeah, so if you're looking for something to do today, please get downtown Southern Pines. It should be chock full of merchandise and inventory, and good values and good buys should be had by all.
All kinds of neat stuff down there, I'm sure.
Yeah, the retailers did not fare so well. The restaurant owners didn't fare so well. Everyone's trying very hard to come back.
Yeah.
We've talked about real estate. It's been a very busy year. It's been a very busy year in the pandemic also because so many of the community pools
are closed.
Yeah, which, pools are the best babysitter for kids.
Oh, yeah. No easier way to exhaust a child than take them to the pool.
And let them just swim their heart out.
Yep.
Until they're exhausted.
Until they're exhausted, they go home and collapse, and then you have some quiet time.
But this year, I've noticed in our business, and I've just sort of noticed in a tangential way, that pools are very popular.
Yes.
And I'm going to be speaking today with Clay Singletary, who is in charge of sales and marketing, and he does pretty much everything at the pool store of the Pines in Southern Pines. They're on Old U.S. Highway 1, right across from the Ford dealership. Is it the Ford? No, Cooper?
It's Cooper now. I'm not sure if it's Ford.
Is it Ford? It's Cooper, yeah. Is it Ford?
Okay.
I keep remembering. Okay. And I know they've been very busy, and I had a chance to meet Clay last year because he came and he helped me with my pool, and I needed a class, Pool 101, which he knew right away. And so he talks to me like I'm a second grader, which is really a smart thing for him to do.
Well, when I started, it was first graders.
It was first grade.
You're in second grade now. So.
Yeah. After I got the Polaris, I stepped up a notch, and we're going to talk about that. You're not a native of Moore County.
No, sir. I'm actually from Robinson County.
And how did you get here to Moore County?
I used to play music in this area, and there was a venue called Brooks, and we played every weekend. And I just kind of, out of all my travels, this was one of my favorite places to visit.
Is that right?
And I always wanted to move here. So in 2006, I officially moved here and been here ever since.
Dorothy looked at me when we mentioned Brooks. Dorothy, do you know what that is?
The name is familiar, but I'm having a hard time placing it.
Okay.
Brooks was in where Beltree is now.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you played there.
It was just a local venue, and I think we played once a month for about 5 years.
Did you really?
Yes.
What instrument do you play?
I play guitar.
Guitar. And how long have you been with the pool store, the Pines?
I came in actually meeting another mutual musician who was actually Jeremy Robinson, our pool builder and one of the owners of the company. And I actually came in and helped him open a retail store in 2018.
Right.
And then we officially opened in October of that year.
Okay. You say pool builder, and since 2018, how many pools have you built here in Moore County?
I think we're at around 80 so far.
Jeez, I had no idea.
Yes, we're very busy. We're very fortunate. But, Jeremy himself is a second-generation pool builder.
Okay.
And his kids are working with the company, so we actually have 3 generations working in this business together because one of his sons, J.D., works on the construction team, and his middle son, Joey, works with us in the retail side.
And tell me the demographic of the client that you work for who's having a pool built?
About 65% of our customers are military or first responders. So
Young families?
young families
With kids.
first house, moving to the area, and they want a pool.
Yeah.
That's one thing they look for. So
You know, in my business, when I'm working with these families that you describe, the main reason they want to look at a club membership is not as much for the golf as it is for the existence of a pool.
correct.
And that's what the kids really want. It's not tennis and golf as much as I wish it was, but it's the pool.
It's the pool.
So they're actually they buy a home. They, do you have issues? Is it harder to build a pool when there is a septic system versus?
Of course, you have to
city
get
one.
all kind of surveys done and find out where the septic systems, and that all comes with, having to pursue getting your permits to see if you can even have a pool in a certain area.
Exactly.
So, but we're about 99% success rate of actually making it work for every situation.
So of the pools that you build, are they pools with liners? Are they concrete pool? What type of pool is the most popular?
Our most popular is a vinyl liner pool,
Vinyl liner.
and then number 2 would be fiberglass. And we're actually just in the process of starting to do concrete style gunite pools.
That's the most expensive.
That
of
would be the
three?
most expensive pool.
Fiberglass more expensive than a
And-
vinyl liner.
Yes, about 20% more on average.
And the longevity of a fiberglass pool will hold up longer than one with a vinyl liner.
Yes, and a concrete pool. So
And
you really have less issues. With a vinyl liner, you may have to replace that liner every 7 to 12 years.
Okay.
With the fiberglass pool, they come with a lifetime warranty, so they'll fix any issues you have. So it's, you're paying a little extra for that to be able to sleep at night and have less worries about actually changing your liner.
And a concrete pool forever.
Correct. But you sometimes, every 7 to 8 years, you may have to repaint them and do different treatments on those also.
Right. So people love pools, and some people say, I couldn't wait to get a pool, and then some people say, oh, I'm selling my house, I'm glad I'm not going to have a pool anymore. Why?
Yes.
Why?
Well, when we build a pool, our main focus is building something that is super easy to maintain. That's one of our selling points now, that they have certain systems that make pool maintenance super easy now. Every pool we sell is a salt system that comes with the pool, which actually generates your chlorine. Then you have these new pool robots. They're kind of like a Roomba for your pool.
Right.
That you put in, and it'll climb and sweep your walls and kind of do a lot of the vacuuming for you. So there's a lot
Right.
less maintenance involved. So we hear that less. So a lot of people that are complaining, they may have had a pool and you really had to go out there and constantly check
Clean
your
it.
chemistry and constantly clean it
Yeah.
and keep your water, your chlorine levels up. So it's a lot easier these days, and that's what one of our main selling points is, to make it as easy as possible. So you enjoy the pool, and it doesn't become a chore you're not looking forward to.
You talked me into the, you call it a Roomba?
It's like
The
a
Polaris?
it's a pool robot is kind of what they're called, but they're an auto cleaner.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
I watch it and I'm like a little kid. It just literally, it skims not the surface, but the floor of the pool.
And climbs your walls and sweeps your walls. So that was one main thing in pool maintenance, that you don't have to do as much. If you don't have one, you need to brush your pool walls once a week, and that takes, depending on the size of the pool,
Right.
maybe 30 to 45 minutes. With those robots actually climb the wall
Right.
and kind of memorize the shape of your pool and help you do that. So really, all you have to worry about is when you get big leaves or surface things, just to keep some of that stuff out. But the robot can handle most of it.
What percentage of your business is pool building versus existing pool maintenance?
Pool building. That's probably our main business, and that's really what we wanted to create even more business for by opening the retail side. So there was, it wasn't the idea. Retail stores are very hard to open these days.
Yeah,
and
no
they're
kidding.
Very hard to maintain.
No kidding.
So we knew going in that it was the pool sales that we needed more than depending on selling the chemicals and salt. So the idea is if we built 80 pools, that's 80 customers.
Right.
And we treat everybody gets the VIP status when they buy a pool from us. So they get pretty much any chemical they need, almost at the cost at which we buy it. So
Right.
That's kind of one of our deals we offer to people when they buy pools. So
The maintenance that you do on pools, like for mine,
yes,
I inherited a pool with the home that I bought. But you have a lot of clients, a lot of customers like that as well, do you not? Where you work on a monthly maintenance program?
kind of what we did when we first opened. I focused on just getting the retail started.
Okay.
And I think I met you when I was kind of going out and doing kind of learning things for myself. So when I hired a service guy, I knew what to expect. And so the first year we didn't do a lot of pool maintenance. I kind of did it as like on your 1 or 2 or 3 pools I took care of.
Right.
And that's just the best way to learn is just get out there in the field. So I understood when I had a service guy, the language.
Right.
And our expectations and their expectations were met. So this year we've actually hired a new service guy, and we're starting to offer, pool cleaning weekly, or we're just focusing on weekly right now. So that is, I think next year we'll have to hire someone full time just to clean pools for us.
Let's come back. Let's come back in the second set. I have a bunch of questions to ask you, all about saltwater pools versus chlorine pools.
Okay.
And some of the stuff in your brochure, which is very attractive, reads like a chemistry class.
It's exactly.
So I need some help on that.
That's fine.
We're going to come back. We're speaking with Clay Singletary of the Pool Store of the Pines. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our second set of All Things Moore County. We're speaking all about pools in Moore County with Clay Singletary from the Pool Store of the Pines. They're located on U.S. Highway 1. Because of the pandemic, a lot of the community pools have not been opened, or if they are, they're opened on a limited basis, and rightfully so, I guess, in the world we live in. But it has brought on an increase in homeowners who are putting pools in, and pools used to be subjects of appraisers, where they would go and appraise a home, and the appraiser used to say, we really don't give credit for a pool. That's more of a personal thing.
Right.
But I've noticed whenever we put a home on the market for sale that has a pool, there is a demand, because there are so few relative to the homes that don't have pools. So it might not help the appraised value as much, but it certainly makes the home more compelling if they have a buyer who is in the market for a home with a pool.
Yes, I think so.
Big savings. First question, when I bought the house that I renovated, it was a chlorine pool.
Correct.
And I had heard a lot of people talking, and I don't know a lot about pools. We wanted to switch it to a salt water pool. In my mind, I thought, if we do salt water, there's no chlorine. But that's not the case, is it?
No, and we get a lot of new people, new customers come in, and the first thing they'll ask is like, well, I want a pool, but I don't want chlorine in the pool. I want a salt pool.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, your salt is kind of converted into chlorine. So it becomes, through electrolysis, chlorine, and it enters the pool chlorine from once it's been generated. So what it does is it provides you with a more consistent feed of chlorine, so you don't have to measure it as much and keep adding, scoops of chlorine every other day. So it's just a consistent feed, and it's a little more natural version of chlorine, I guess is the right word, the way to describe it, but it's still a chlorine pool.
So with a saltwater pool, there's salt.
There is salt.
A lot of salt.
Yes, but it's not, it's not like swimming in the ocean. You will not taste the salt. You should never taste it. If you do, you have way too much.
Okay.
So there's a certain amount of salt you want in your water, and that's just there so the salt generator has enough salt to produce the chlorine.
Does it soften the chlorine? I don't know the term.
Not really. It's people think when they smell chlorine,
Yeah.
it's over-chlorinated, but usually that's chloramine, which is chlorine working on algae or different things, which produces that smell. So it's not actually it's chlorine in the water.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of people think. They think there's too much chlorine. I smell it, but that's actually chloramine. So it is a little softer on your skin. It makes it a little better swimming experience.
Saltwater
Pool,
okay.
correct. But is that one of those things that we feel that way, or is it a real thing? That's kind of still up to.
What is it? I can't. I'll ask you a very general question. What kind of costs are involved of converting a pool that's a chlorine pool to a saltwater pool?
It's all based on the size of your pool.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So depending on your size, it could go anywhere from $800 to $1,700. In the case of your pool, which is a really large pool,
Yeah.
so you're on. I think you have 35,000 gallons. So you have a very large pool. So
Right.
you needed a larger generator to keep up with the demand of the water.
And the long-term cost of a saltwater pool versus a chlorine pool?
It's a lot less. You save a lot of money. You consider at the beginning of the season, once you've established a saltwater pool at the beginning of the season, you'll test your water, and it may ask for 4 to 10 bags of salt to start your season. And the salt kind of on average is $9 to $15 a bag, depending on where you buy it. And that after that point, you may put 1 bag in, 2 bags in throughout the season, and it really depends on the bather load or how many people are swimming.
Okay.
And also when we have a couple of weeks of storms and you get a lot of rain and you're draining your water off, you may have to add more. Versus chlorine, like a 50-pound bucket of chlorine you can see for $109 up to $189.
Uh-huh.
And you could possibly go through that in 1 bucket every 6 weeks. So that stuff can add up. So you're using granular chlorine and what we call the pucks, which is a 3-inch chlorine disc that you would leave in your skimmer basket. So you'd have to use a combination of those to keep the level of chlorine consistent. Because as soon as it's not present, that's when you have algae outbreaks or different sanitation issues.
Okay, so when the pool turns green at the end of the year, like the one I had did.
Right. There's no chlorine present in the
That's
water,
right.
so.
It was pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And now it's like a crystal blue.
Yeah.
So that pool is sort of like a petri dish, isn't it, to you? That you just
It
sit there
is.
and mix your chemicals like a sorcerer.
Right. It's all about water balance and keeping the chemistry correct. And two main things we look at first are your pH and your alkalinity. I think so that's kind of your water balance. If that's in the correct range, then it allows the chemicals to work properly. If it's out of range, it's going to either cause your chemicals to be used too quickly or not work at all.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually have chlorine in your pool, and with the chemistry out of balance, it's not working, so you can still have an algae outbreak also, or different issues with it. So that's the most important thing about your pool water is keeping the pH and alkalinity balance first, and then you kind of work from that list on your chlorine and your salt levels.
And what happens in the wintertime when people close their pools down? Do you advise them using a cover or not using a cover and just treating the water through the winter season?
We've seen a trend of more people, especially in our area, since we have mild winters, leaving their pool open.
Okay, uncovered. And water in
leaving
place.
your water in, and you're leaving your pumps on and running your pumps. So if it gets really cold, you may want to leave your pump on 24 hours just to keep anything from freezing.
Okay.
And that brings another point up, is once your water drops to 65 or below, you want to turn off your salt generator. It will not generate chlorine once the water gets so cold.
Okay.
So a lot of people leave them on, and then they get upset that they've had a chlorine generator for 2 years and it has to be replaced already. Well, all chlorine generators have about an average life of 10,000 hours. Mm-hmm. Well, if you left it on for 1 year, 24 hours a day, that's 8,000 hours.
Jeez.
I think.
Jeez.
But